We'll see if that is truly the date or not. It's purely speculative at this early stage, but we wanted to certainly mention that. So they're going through some in-depth training right now on how to sift through applicants to determine whether they're going to be dependent on the U.S. welfare system. And that's what this public charge, that's the phrase, for friends, that's what public charge is all about. Individuals, it's an inadmissibility issue, actually. It's always been in our law. It's always been there in the INA. It's always been there, which is why the affidavit of support, the I-864, is the form that's used by your U.S. citizen sponsors or green card holder sponsors to prove that they could meet the burden financially for you, an applicant coming to the United States, or individuals who are also going through a green card process here in the United States. They also are required to submit an affidavit of support. So it's all based on public charge. So this is nothing new. And actually, friends, the factors, and I'm going to pull up the factors that they're really, really going to scrutinize. I'll pull it up shortly here on YouTube. The factors, they've also been on the books for quite a long time. So the factors like your age, your health, and some other things, those have always been there. But now I think they're taking this to the highest level. Right, Letty? Like the extreme.
Correct. And it's no longer means tested, it's any government help.
Right. It's so, right. So currently the way it works is that, certainly they're looking at cash. If an individual had received cash benefits or long-term hospitalization or institutionalization benefits, those types of benefits would label you basically a public charge. But now, under the new DHS rules, which go into effect on September 18th, they're looking at any means tested benefits that you had ever received, including student loans. But we're going to set that issue aside and just kind of hone in a little bit if I'm able to find what I'm looking for on my end. And I'm going to pull it up here. I don't know what it's going to look like on the screen, if it's going to be a little bit too much, but I want to share, there it is, the factors. These are the public charge factors. Age, they're going to be looking at how old are you, visa applicant? Are you elderly? Are you up there in age, or are you young and able to come here and work and contribute to this economy? Your health, do you have any serious health conditions that would likely mean that you're going to eventually need benefits down the road? Your family status, how many individuals are in your family, and your financial burden with respect to the size of your family, financial status, certainly your income, what you do for a living, and then last, education and skills. They're, going to be scrutinizing that area as well. These 5 factors, friends, years ago when President Trump was in office, they did bring up this public charge issue. It was a major, major issue that they focused on during Trump 1.0. And I did a lot of videos on YouTube on these factors. I'm not suggesting that you go back and watch those old videos, because things have changed and things are changing, and there's a lot more new policies and rules to come out that we'll talk about. But I just want you to know that these factors have always been there, and now they're bringing them back in a stronger way. And you should be prepared. What you should be doing and thinking next is, how can I present a strong case to the U.S. Embassy once they do call me back in? Certainly the embassies, I'm speculating, Letty, will provide, obviously, maybe if there's a new form that they want applicants to fill out. I remember back under Trump 1.0, they had this healthcare proclamation application that folks had to submit. I don't know what they're going to create now for you guys, but just be prepared with your documentation to show that you are well able to take care of yourself once you get your visa and come to the United States. Okay, Letty, do you have anything to add to that before we jump into Q&A? Because I do see that there are a lot of questions coming in.
Yes, one thing that has been discussed among attorneys is if you are on any type of government help, you should be disengaging at this point and leaving receiving that aid, because it's going to be a negative factor for you.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that, the negative factor. So if a person disengages, right? So the way that I view it is that, let's say you were on some sort of means tested benefit, and this is not visa applicants, of course. We're talking about individuals here in the United States for a second. If you disengage, it doesn't mean that it can't come up during your interview at USCIS. And they can drill down. Now, they can't hold you accountable to the new policy that's going to come into effect on September 18th. They can't hold you to that, but they can still inquire into, why were you on this? How long were you on it? Give us some more information. How can you assure us that you won't go back on this? Right? They could still go down that road, right? But for visa applicants, for those of you out there going through the process, the embassy will give you guidance on what they're going to need next from you after they go through this global in-depth training. Okay, so let's go up to some questions here. Thank you guys for coming in to today's broadcast, joining us. Thank you. Let's see. The first question is, how much time will it take? How much time will it take for the 75 country pause? What is this question asking? When will the visa be issued, right? For those of individuals in Pakistan. So this global, we don't know yet. You'll get guidance from the embassy, and they're not interviewing anyone right now until they go through this protocol or whatever it is they're doing, some training. So no one has an answer to that question quite yet. Okay, let's go.
And maybe that's the reason why they're not interviewing through September 4th, maybe to address all these backlog that they do have. So hopefully that's what they're doing.
Right. Are visa interviews canceled inside of the United States as well?
No. It's only anything that's happening at the U.S. embassies or consulates.
Yeah, the interviews are still happening here, although some people are experiencing oath ceremony cancellations. There's something weird going on there that we're watching. Let's go down to the next one. For those people who have already done their interview, what about them? So there are individuals, particularly those from the 75 countries, who were interviewed already, and they were placed in 221G administrative process. And you're going to hear from the embassy. They will inform you if, once this is over, they will inform you of the next steps. For some of you, they will require additional documentation, fresh documentation from you. But you'll get some sort of guidance from them. As I've mentioned to you guys, there is, if you're part of the 39 country travel ban block, right? The 221F, unfortunately that, individuals who are subject to 221F are still blocked, despite the fact that this great ruling happened on Friday in the Clinic versus Rubio case. Let's see. Let's go up here. And I know you can't see these questions, Letty. What is the current status of the 39 countries? Should we be hopeful? And what can we do at the moment? So, if you're talking about, if you're outside of the United States and you're in one of the 39 countries, there is litigation going on right now. And I mentioned the Chukumba case that is being handled by Impact Litigation under Chuck Cook. You should follow his YouTube channel every Wednesday, I believe. He goes live and provides updates about their lawsuit. And I think there is another attorney who has, I think it's a class action in the Western District of Washington State involved in this as well, Josh Goldstein, if I'm not mistaken. So follow his updates as well. And of course, you should stay hopeful, but it is a very tough problem to fix because the U.S. Supreme Court has already rubber stamp, so to speak, this type of action, right, with regard to travel ban and the president being able to use that section of the law. So it's a tough one, very, very tough. All right, thank you. Let's see. Can you see the questions as well on your end, Letty?
I cannot.
Oh, you cannot? Oh,
I used to. So the first few I could, yeah.
Okay, here's a removal question. This person says that in removal proceedings, whose U.S. citizen spouse has a pending I-130, filed an I-485 with the immigration court now, and if the court accepts it, use that pending I-485 to file Category 9 I-765 with USCIS.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming you're talking about the 485 file with the USCIS. If you are in proceedings, that 485 is going to be administratively closed. So you will have to file it again with the court, assuming the I-130 is approved. Okay. Otherwise, you cannot file it with the court. So you will have to wait for the approval of the I-130 if you're in proceedings in order to file a new 485. And then with that 485, you can file a 765 application, but not before.
Okay, so a person who did their interview already and they told them to renew their medical and submit it, you're in good shape. Follow the instructions from the U.S. Embassy to submit whatever additional document they have asked you to submit. I suspect, everybody's going to get emails from the U.S. Embassy once this is over, the training. Is there an interview again for those who have taken the 221G? If they were part of the 75 country pause, will they be interviewing you again? I don't know yet. Don't know whether they're going to call you back in for an interview per se, because you've already been through the scrutiny. And for many people, they were eligible for the visa. The embassy did not find any inadmissibility problem with you. And so we don't know yet what they're going to do under this new process that they're putting in place. I suspect that, certainly, I think they're going to ask for a lot more evidence around public charge. I think that we'll see. We'll see that they might come out with another application asking you guys to fill it out and provide supporting documents. And for some people, they might call you back in for a second interview after that. We'll see. I don't know. It's a lot. Obviously, we're all speculating here, just based on our experience with the U.S. Embassy.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, most people, usually the process is that you leave your passport and then you come to retrieve it or it's sent to you. Obviously, I would say 99.9% of the cases, they did not retain that passport. So at some point, you're going to have to either send it or show up personally to bring it so that the visa stamp can be placed on the passport. That's something that they need to arrange.
Yeah. When an officer refers your case to rerun background check after the I-485 interview, how long does the background check take before you can get a decision from USCIS? I think it all depends on what they find during that background review. There's really no it's hard to say how long that could take. I think it's on an individual basis. They are, but don't be alarmed. They are rechecking, rerunning these fingerprints. So it's something that they're doing. They're also going through what they call a comprehensive re-review of approved cases as well. So they're engaged in a lot of different types of reviews. Don't be alarmed, Eric, by what you're seeing there. Here's another one. Those people who have we answered this one already? No, those people who have already done their interviews, what about them? Okay, we answered that part. I already did my interview in October of 2025. They put us in administrative processing. After it's completed in April of 2026, they require, the question got cut off here about what's being required. Try to keep, friends, your questions short, to the point, and a complete question in your as you type it in. Let's see. Go down a little bit. Someone says this should not be surprising. They don't want to stop illegal immigration, and they want to stop illegal immigration, and it will happen eventually. Letty, what's your opinion on that? Do you think legal immigration can be shut down entirely?
I don't think so. I think that's the whole point of this administration. I don't think they oppose immigration. They oppose illegal immigration and anything related to that. But I think, legal immigration's in the books. I haven't seen anything being taken away or revoked. So legal immigration continues. They're just being strict, more restrictive, but I don't see a point where they will completely cancel every.
Well, you and I have we have a very different perspective, because I think they are targeting legal immigration intentionally and arbitrarily, by the way. So I think they came in with a very specific plan towards that end. And in some ways, unfortunately, as they're trekking along with their plans, more people are being impacted than necessary. It's awful, which is why we're fighting for those who we get an opportunity to fight for. The system, and I know Letty has been practicing immigration law far longer than me. And Letty, I think this is the worst that I've ever seen. And I think you would agree with that too, correct?
Oh, definitely. It's very strict, and they're reducing the ways that people can immigrate legally. And they're putting a lot of barriers. I think that's the word that I will use. There are more barriers, but I think that if you have a good case, you can overcome all that. And that's what's important. Sometimes to use the help of a professional to get you to that place where you need to be.
Right. Are there categories exempt from the public charge rule, like T category? Yes, VAWA, special immigrants, and some others. Yes, the public charge rule does not apply to everyone who is going through an immigration process. Someone says, I'm from the 75 country ban. It's been 11 months since my marriage-based interview. Everything went well, but still no response yet. Give it another few weeks as the U.S. embassies work on whatever it is they're working on and send out their emails to you guys. At some point, of course, after that, if things don't look promising for you, you could always consider a mandamus potentially, but that's something that you could speak one-on-one with an attorney about. If you're now joining today's live session, we're talking about the fact that there is a global visa interview pause right now. All interviews have been canceled. Some lawyers are speculating that that those interviews will be canceled until September 4th, but nothing official has come out yet by the U.S. embassies around the globe. If you do get an email from the embassy over the next few days and such, contact us through social media, comment on our posts, and let us know what you're seeing and experiencing. And one of my colleagues is joining me on YouTube today answering questions. So if you'd like to see her, hop over to McBean Immigration TV on YouTube. Someone says, I'm a U.S. citizen. I've been married for over 3 years. Is this a good time to submit the case for my husband, Letty? U.S. citizen wants to file for her husband. Is now a good time for that?
I mean, yeah. So it's one of the situation in which, as a U.S. citizen, you have the right to petition for your spouse. The question becomes whether your spouse is here legally or illegally, and there's many factors. So obviously, you should discuss it with an attorney in order to assess the situation and see if now is the time to do it.
Right, exactly. So since the officers are about to go through training, does this mean the administration is accepting Judge Vargas's decision to drop the 75 country pause? Certainly there's no coincidence, right, that this is happening now, that they could have been trained back in March. They could have been trained in April. Maybe they were just trying to, I don't know, keep this going as long as they could, right? So I think it's all related, quite frankly. And then there's a public charge bond that was just piloted in the Dominican Republic. There's just a lot going on. They're laser focused on public charge. I do think that many of you will be getting your visa once this is over, if you can really pass through the next level of scrutiny that they're preparing to take you through. Let's see. Our visa interviews in Canada canceled. I have an interview coming up this Friday. My understanding is this is global. I'm surprised you hadn't gotten an email yet from the U.S. Embassy, but certainly if you have an interview coming up and they haven't canceled it, you show up and see what happens. But my understanding, as being reported through the media, is that this is global. Because folks in Canada will still need to, every post will have to have the same protocol in place. It doesn't matter the country. All right. What's going on with the B1, B2 visa issuance from yesterday? I heard something, but I do not understand something about asylum seekers already in the United States. I don't know what this person is referring to.
I think there was an article basically said that I'm not really sure, but there was a New York Times article that said that the administration is revoking up to 200,000 visas and it's related to asylum, but I'm not sure whether they're scrutinizing the asylums filed by people who came in with B1, B2 visas. That's what it seems like, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think there's been any guidance yet.
Okay. As a refugee from Africa, I got approved from USCIS in December of 2024, but cases have been stalled under the Trump administration. You might have been caught up in certainly the 39 country adjudication hold. Let's go here. Let's go here. We're going to take a question from, excuse me, guys, let's shift here. We're going to take a question from Instagram. Let's see. My husband has his interview scheduled for September 7th. When should he expect to get his visa? Did you bring your crystal ball today? Although I don't believe in that. You guys know that. I don't. I don't
Yeah.
subscribe to that, but no one knows. We can't predict. We don't know.
Yeah.
No one would know when. It just really all depends on what they do next. Okay, stay tuned for what they do next. Worldwide cancellation. Someone's watching from Ghana. Thank you so much for being
But
here.
going back to that question, usually once you get the approval, if you're within the United States, normally you get your green card within 30 days. If you're outside of the United States, if you get an approved case, usually takes a couple of weeks before they stamp the visa and everything else. But you obviously shouldn't make plans regardless until you actually have the visa, whether it's the visa or the green card in place.
Does the administration still process the N-400 naturalization application? Yes. Oh, yes. They are still processing. If you're eligible for naturalization, get it done. Now is still a good time for that. When will the training of the officers end and we get our visas? Again, we don't know exactly when it's going to end. There's just speculation around September 4th. Let's go down. What if you've already had your interview and was approved but got refused based on 221G Presidential Proclamation 10998? If it's the if you're from one of the 39 and it was based on that particular presidential in your just know that that particular presidential proclamation that you've cited there still applies to your case, because there are certain countries who are facing a double ban. One ban or pause has been lifted through the clinic case, and now they're contending with the next ban. Okay. Do you all know if the 39 nation ban waivers will work? The waivers based on like national interests. And also, I think for certain religious minorities from Iran are exempt from the proclamations. I think that they can work. I don't think we've worked on any of those waivers. I haven't seen any of those types of fee agreements come through. Have you, Letty, seen any of those fee agreements? Because the reason I don't think many attorneys have seen those types of qualified clients is because it's very hard to make a national interest argument if it's a family petition that's involved. If it's an I-130 petition, it's very difficult to do it under that exception. But if it's maybe employment based, I think it could very well work for certain individuals. Let's see. My husband is in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, pending with his I-130, which has been approved. He works for the U.S. Embassy, and they continue to decline our expedite requests. What can we do? Unfortunately, your husband, his Haiti is a part of the 39 country ban, and they will not allow him to get his visa during this time. The ban has to be lifted. Thank you. Let's see. Thank you for joining. Share this live session as you're coming on board. Forward the live session to others if you're watching on TikTok. Thank you. My spouse filed in July of 2026. Filed July 2026. I'm a U.S. citizen. It's a spousal case, and we have not received any email. Should I be worried? We're from Ethiopia. They filed in July of 2026, last month. You haven't gotten an email. I'm not sure what kind. If your I-130 was filed electronically, they get the receipt notice immediately after the filing. I'm not sure what email you're referring to. Let's see. Is it a bad time to upgrade to EB2 national interest case to premium processing? Is it a bad time to upgrade an EB2 NIW case to premium processing? That's the question.
I'm assuming the case has already been filed.
Yeah.
But it's been filed, and
Most likely this
you're
person,
anxious,
most
and
likely this person, I think, because we get a lot of these types of questions, most likely this person was part of the 39 country adjudication hold, and so the case was delayed.
Mhm.
So he or she is asking now, would it be a good idea to do premium processing?
Well, if you're still part of the 39 country ban, premium processing is not going to help to get a decision because there's no decisions being issued if you're part of that group. But
Oh,
if
but
you're
this is
part
at
of any other group,
USCIS. I think at USCIS.
USCIS, oh, okay.
This is
Yeah, I mean, of course. The only thing with the NIW is not the 15 days; it's 45 days for premium processing.
okay. Let's see. I filed as a U.S. citizen for my German husband via consular processing. We've been married for 37 years. Wow, that's great. The receipt is dated February 2025 and still no change of status. There is a slowdown with the I-130 case, I-130 petitions. At least that's what we've been seeing. So hang in there for a little bit longer, but there is a little bit of a slowdown happening now. Someone is asking whether you're Brazilian. No, she's not Brazilian. Maybe they're asking about you. It's not me. She said the other lawyer. The other lawyer.
The other lawyer. That's me.
No. No one needs to know anything further, but you're not Brazilian. She's not. Let's see. Do you recommend to file adjustment of status while being on OPT? By the way, I forgot to mention that Letty is has been doing employment-based immigration for many years. So I'm going to direct that question to her. Do you recommend filing? If you're on OPT and you have an opportunity and qualified for adjustment of status, should you take it?
Of course, because you're still on F1 status. It's an extension. There's no such thing as OPT status. Still in F1. So if you do have the opportunity, of course.
Definitely. Okay, F1 visa holder, international student. Can I travel back to my country for vacation? This is a F1 student, wants to travel back home for a vacation.
As long as the visa is in place, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't, but make sure that you have a valid visa. And if you don't, make sure you go to the U.S. Embassy to get your passport stamped with the visa. Okay.
Let's see. Let's go down a little bit. Someone says, I love the knowledge that you share regularly with the community around the world. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. And here we have a U.S. citizen who's married. This is the same person, no criminal record. And so you're in good shape with your I-130 is facing a slowdown, but it's just happening across the board. I've already answered the question about whether we think another interview will be scheduled for those who were subject to the 75 country pause. Any suggestions on the I-601 waiver for inadmissibility charges for someone from Jamaica? Well, with your 601, I don't know what the problem is, why a 601 waiver is required. The key there is to keep the focus on the U.S. citizen or the green card holder petitioner, qualifying relative, I should say, the relative who is here in the United States who really need you and will suffer extreme hardship if you do not get a chance to get your visa and come to the United States. Keep the focus on that person and submit as much evidence as possible, telling a compelling story of the hardship that this individual will experience. The 601 waiver is a tough one. Work with a professional. You could contact us if you haven't yet hired an attorney. We'd be happy to take a look at that case. Let's see. Let's go down a little bit here to something a little different. Let's see. I've submitted, this is a long pendant N400, submitted in December of 2025, but nothing yet. It's not even a year yet. It usually takes a little under a year for naturalization cases to process. You're in good shape. Hopefully, if you were part of the 39 country pause, that slowed things down a little bit, but you're still under a year there with the processing of that naturalization case. USCIS is supposed to process cases in under 6 months. That's their mandate. And Congress needs to hold them accountable for what's going on right now, certainly. Let's see. Someone says, I'm from Morocco. I was waiting for my immigrant visa F4 category for 18 years. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, F4 is through a sibling, correct?
Yeah, that's the sibling petition. Yeah, that's the worst one.
Yeah, it takes a while. Just make sure you look at the visa bulletin every month. They release the dates they're working on. And if your date has come up and you have not received any notification from the National Visa Center, you should contact them.
Definitely. Here's an interesting question. It reminds me of questions I used to answer back in the day when I talked about public charge. What about children who are under the age of 21? Does those factors apply to them as well? I think obviously the scrutiny is a lot lighter for children. They're not going to hold them to all of those factors. There's just no way they can do something like that. So there is a degree of discretion here that the officer will have. It's going to be really interesting to see what they come out with. Let's see. My daughter is living in Jamaica. She is over 21. Can I file for her? Absolutely, right? Definitely, you could file for her.
You're a U.S. citizen, right?
Yeah, or even if she is only a green card holder, she could still file for that daughter. So long as the daughter is not married, the green card holder can file for that adult child. Let's see. Let's go down a little bit. I have an approved I-140. Thank you for your gifts. I have an approved I-140, but also a pending J-1 waiver. Can I do adjustment of status? The waiver would need to be approved first, because you filed a J-1 waiver. I'm assuming that you have the 2-year residency rule attached to your visa. And so the adjustment of status case would not be approved with that 2-year residency rule not being taken care of through the waiver. I don't know what's going on with the DV cases, the DV lottery cases. You could follow Red Eagle Law. They're doing terrific work around the DV lottery, their litigation. So is Chuck Cook through Impact Litigation. Let's see. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all of the gifts as well today on TikTok. I appreciate it. Let's see. If you're now joining, we're answering a few questions today about the various immigration issues that you're facing, as well as discussing the global visa interview pause that's in effect right now. Let's see. My brother received a first termination letter after the approval reinstating the case last year. They never received any email from the Welcome Center. So, okay, we do handle visa reinstatement requests to the National Visa Center. If you know they've terminated a visa application process, you could contact us to discuss this further and to see what's really going on there. You did mention here that there was a reinstatement notice that was sent last year. Um, and so this is a little confusing, the facts here, but contact us. We'd be happy to ask you more questions and get some clarity that we need here for this reinstatement case. All right, let's go down just a little bit. I did my interview in July and was handed 221G form to do my medical because I was waiting until the pause is lifted. Well, this new rule affects me, most likely. We don't know all of the details yet of what they're working on, the new screening tool. We do know, just based on experience and common sense, that they're really looking to drill down on those 5 factors and ask you guys for more information related to those factors and why you would not become a public charge once you come to the United States. Despite the fact that you've already been interviewed, it doesn't mean that whatever they're coming out next won't apply to you. The cutoff is usually after a visa is issued. So after a visa is issued to you and they come out with something new, well, that something new won't apply to you because they've already issued you your visa. But if they did not issue you your visa, they have a lot of latitude to really continue to require more from you based on whatever they're developing.